We're going to say, hello, everybody. Welcome to Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out. And we are very blessed to be able to listen to Abdul Bashir from Costa Rica. And we're going to be talking about living with love absolutely. And Abdul has just a fabulous presence and has been through many experiences in this life. And so when I asked him about a song that he personifies, really, from my perspective, what did you choose, Abdul?
The Impossible Dream, actually.
Yes, so we're just going to listen to a little of that, and then we're going to get going here. So hang tight.
The world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strong, with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable, the unreachable, the unreachable star.
You found Luther's version.
He is just awesome. So where would you like to begin? With your first aha, or how you were just absolutely living with love absolutely?
Well, you spoke about that entrance song. The reason why I chose that song was because when I was in the 5th grade, my teacher asked me to sing that song and sing a solo. And it's interesting, I was going through a pretty rough patch in my life. My parents had just divorced, and I was trying to find myself. And so singing this song, and then really those words, they kind of came back to haunt me, if you want to use a word, upon this mission, because, it's like to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true with this glorious quest, that my heart was lie peaceful and calm when I laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. And so, in those verses, it's kind of like, when you're, as the light workers, and, you find all truth, it applies to all of mankind. Mm-hmm. When we get out here and we decide to find our purpose and be on purpose and extend our hand to others, initially you might think that everything is peachy, everybody's going to love you, and life is just going to be all right, Kill that myth, because it's definitely not about that. You will have to, as you walk in your path, find these challenges that will put you in places mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically that will ask you, for real, are you really that, or are you really about that? And even, to accept that only love is real. Mm-hmm. Even that, you'll be challenged on that. I've been challenged on that, on being out, being invited to do healing for people and to teach my teachings, share my teachings with people. And, you just, you know, the ego will come knocking and say, "Oh, really?" And it just, I mean, amazingly, I've had experiences where people would try to stop me from doing my work, and even by setting up appointments and blocking it so others can't get to it. And I've had direct conversations with them, and they just question me. And the doubters. It's like if you reflect on the story from Jesus Christ, he said he would be in a town, and then Thomas would be there. Doubting Thomas. He said Thomas would always be doubting. He'd show up at every meeting, and he'd always have these questions. Oh, there you go, Thomas. You're always doubting. Stick around. So.
Well, I'm just going to interject here for a second. So I think what you just said, as you put your hand in front of them, is as you're standing in who you are and who you felt you were called to be, there was situations that are like adversity, and everybody's going to have those. So what your message in terms of that is, as you followed your inner guidance to be all who you are meant to be, and I know the same is for me, and I feel everybody else, is when they tap in, tune in, they are going to want to step forward. But as soon as you decide to step forward, as you said, other things can happen, like people are trying to block it, or you're meeting with adversity. Am I getting the gist of that?
Yeah, and let's say, I mean, because it may show up as people, but again, it's the universe really asking you, what are you, what you be living, because as soon as you make a commitment, you make a decision, to take this path to union, the self that you've been living as, that ego that, you've been hanging out with, there's always, like on the couch with you, whispering, those things and telling you all that stuff, like, just imagine there's a person there that keeps talking to you, when you decide to do something.
Well, that's kind of what I say, is why would you want to have them around anymore, right? Like, it's like, if you feel like your ego's constantly saying blah, 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 it's like, there's the door, it's
Mm-hmm.
right. My free will chooses now to surrender, because I know that I'm always in that space of joy and health and love. And there might be energy that moves through me, but it doesn't, like, it's just an experience, just as if the wind is blowing through the trees.
Exactly. It's all just an experience. So don't take any of it too seriously. Even though, I mean, you have to respect your purpose and your sense of vibration. And so the thing is that everything here is just about experience, and none is, more grand than the other. So, we make an attempt, we get in here, and we are moving forward on our path. And every now and then, we get to receive a blessing by meeting like-minded people and feeling that love. And other times, it's people that just are not in that, haven't made that decision. They're still having this romance, with the illusion, and which is in it. So we, we can't judge it. But the practices that would allow us, first you make a decision for love, and love is synonymous with God or creator or your source. And, it's something that's constant. And learning for one, to identify really becomes the first thing, because as a human being, we're conditioned to believe in the things that we see with our eyes, the body's eyes. And ideally, all the things that you see with the body's eyes are illusions. They're things that are temporary. And so none of those things are real. And so it's a thing that you cannot see that is real. But how do you get to the point where you have the capacity, because we're talking about capacity here where to see these things, to experience, to recognize them, recognize them into your being. So some of us, it's a result of initiations, being in the right places at the right time that help to burn away some of the dross and the things that the karma that we've been carrying with us. And so it opens up avenues for us to be able to have the capacity to see new things. And so some of us, we can voluntarily and consciously take paths that afford us that experience. But it's really about being able to experience yourself in a way that you're not accustomed to. And so, love, absolutely. And, so language, and we're dealing with languaging here, where we try to, every time you try to express God, and the conversation of God is something that really, when you understand it, it really ceases to be a conversation. There's nothing to talk about. It's really something to be about. And so when you start to see the examples of love, then you realize that it's non-dramatic.
Right.
It's just this constant thing that's there for you that allows you to in your own creation of self as a physical, it allows you to have this place in the dream. But you also have the capacity to wake up. Wake up in the dream.
So
So
are you, see, because to me there's waking up in the dream, like a lucid dream, that people are talking about. Some people are saying, I don't even dream, right, that are watching. So now you're like, what are we talking about here? So you're talking, just so we're clear, because you're not talking about when we're going to sleep and we're in the dream. What we're saying is overall, humanity is kind of like asleep in this dream, that what we experience, what we think is this real life that we believe we've been told for generations, is actually the illusion, and hence a dream. And lots of people wake up in the dream and start to want to maneuver the dream, like with the law of attraction. But the truth of the matter is when you like totally surrender and are living with love absolutely, like you are, you're like awake and recognize that it's all just a dream.
Well, to really understand how supportive this love is so to just talk about the dream scenario. So every day, we go to sleep, and then we wake up. But do we wake up? You see, because then the whole thing is, it's telling you, it's showing you the life that you've created as a physical human being continues to show you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wake up, because you really can't stay awake in the dream for more than, they say, 72 hours with and it be healthy. That's about the max. You got to get some rest. You got to shut the computer down.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's showing you every time that you go to sleep and you're supposed to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So this constant reminder of what this thing is supposed to be about is in the experience all the time. But because it's so much in your face, we miss it. So it's similar. So even in the body, where your eyes blink every so often, you can't keep your eyes wide open. You gotta constantly close them so that you can get a clearer vision.
Okay.
So this is what it's all about. Being able to have the vision to see what you need to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is missed as well. So, these are other clues as to what's supposed to happen here, And so then you got to go inside, and then so people keep, they find themselves searching for something that they already have, and it's really a journey without a distance.
Well,
So
it's quite funny when you think about it. Like, in truth, we have everything we absolutely need to be connected to this love. Yet we feel like we need to go on a journey to find it.
right, and you got to take the love that's, because it's constant. And so you got to you're taking the love with you. The love is saying, okay, all right, where are we going now? You know, you
Yeah.
know, because if to define it, and it's just the breath that's moving through you. So this is the love, absolutely. This is a love that you don't have to ask for, you don't have to turn it on, and you can't turn it off. Until the moment, this contract that you made to come in here and to have this experience, it's like an hourglass,
Mhm.
and every day it just keeps flipping over, and till the sand runs out to honor the contract that you made to be here to support the other aspects of yourself
Right.
in returning home, right? As if to call it a thing, right? So, um, but we get caught up because we have the free will to do so, to enjoy the creations, of our mind.
Right. So did you ever see Bill Murray's Groundhog Day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So in a sense, just for those that have yet to get this whole conversation, that's what we're talking about. We're trying to. So he would wake up every day, and it was the same day. So what to simplify it, you're saying is the concept of us going to sleep and waking up is the mirror to the fact that this is what our objective is, to wake up from the dream, right?
Right. Exactly.
Then what are you doing being love actually in your day, right? Are you actually being that giving and contributing in alignment with what you've come here to do? Or are you still allowing your mind to say, oh, I can manipulate things here, or this can work to my advantage, until he finally got a bigger picture at the end of the movie? And if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil the ending.
Right. And the thing is, in that movie, see, the metaphor is that it's only one day.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's only one day. You can only do one day. And so, I mean, how we see our existence, because we get caught up in the future. So we don't really realize what we put ourselves into by creating this idea that there's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, this illusion of days that don't exist. It's only one day because you can't do the week. You could only do one day, 24 hours. And so it's the same day that you wake up into, kind of in a sense, but it's different because the energy is different in each day. And so to be able to identify and align yourself with that energy is really what will help you to wake up and be aware more of where you're going, where you're coming from, and what this thing is all about.
So now let me just ask you that one. Okay, so if everything really is unified and present, right? Why is the energy different? Or is it that we just perceive the energy different?
It's different because this ball that we're living on is constantly moving. And so it's like, putting us in a different position. So when the sun comes around again, right? So as the earth spins into the sun each day, it's in a different location actually. But the mind is believing that it's the same thing in the same place. But no, when you were born, the stars were in a certain place, the moon was in a certain place, the planets were in a different sense of alignment. So to be aware of that and be able to receive the energies in that way aligns you up to with a different sense of awareness. So this is why it's different.
Okay.
So there's no day the same. So people that have a job, so they go to work Monday with objectives and goals and thinking they can accomplish these things just because it's Monday.
Right.
And this is what causes the problem, because it may not be a day that is conducive for that type of productivity.
Right.
So they will struggle through it, and only get so much accomplished, and then put it off for Tuesday, you know.
Alrighty,
And
Karen,
so,
Tuesday.
right, right. So this is, to really understand that, once you align yourself up with the lunar cycle, which may be one of the easier ones to align ourselves with, and the woman kind of paves the way for us to have an understanding of that, then you can get a greater sense of energies coming in the cycles that we're living in. And so, there's certain things that all the different clues that allow us to align ourselves with reality,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Are here, but we have put things in a way that allow us to have a different focus. So we start setting goals, and we think that we can do this thing without it affecting, the 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 real deal, because, if you go off down this path, you're choosing that path and all the hidden factors that come with it.
Right. So
You know, so,
obviously people can come to you in Costa Rica, right? But for those that can't come to you in Costa Rica, can you connect with them online?
sure, sure.
Okay,
By Skype, by Zoom. Hmm.
perfect. And here's the question of it's like for people that are just watching for the first time, and this is kind of like a little woo, like, whoa, I'm just still working on the fact that I'm a little stressed at my job, and I'm thinking maybe there's a correlation between my health.
Mm.
What would be your guidance? What's coming through you to guide them on? What would be like 3 steps that you would suggest that they start to do to come into living with love absolutely?
Well, first would be learn to ask questions. So, when you ask a question, like, how can I do this?
Mhm.
You know, where do I need to go? So, this allows the universe to give you that information, you know, rather than when you think you know something, then you're actually shutting yourself off from your resource.
Mhm.
And so learn to ask questions that will, who do I need to see?
Mhm.
And then be patient enough because again, we ask for things, and it's not that we're not doing these things, we ask them for things and we forget we asked for them.
Right.
And so when it shows up at your door, that person come knocking at your door, you'd be like,
What?
can I help you? Yeah.
Or
And
it
so,
come the way I thought it would at the door.
right, what I'm saying? So this is the thing. So learn to be patient, number 2,
Okay.
because to know that you deserve that thing. Um, so being patient is allowing it to come through your helpers. We all have planetary helpers, seen and unseen, that are here for us, that will deliver it to us. And then uh, trusting, you know, uh, being, to trust, because we don't trust enough that we do deserve these things. So we don't really believe that we're going to get them. But, also to be aware that we're constantly creating. So if we're constantly creating the things that we've been asking for, the things we've been thinking of, it's like these things are coming up behind you because they have been realized on some level. And so this is your karma. So as you could decide today, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to live my life in this way.
Mhm.
And then you just forget about all the other stuff that you was asking for before, from yesterday's,
Uh-huh.
and you don't think that they're gonna come and bite you in your butt, or present themselves to you. You say, yeah, well, what about me? Remember you asked for me? And so, to be able to be mindful and accept responsibility.
Okay, so
So if we,
that one
mhm.
I think is really good. So I just think we better just go over that one again. So basically what you're saying is now they have an aha and they go, I'm gonna be more loving, right? I'm gonna be more loving. And then the person that maybe they've had the biggest issue with in the past all of a sudden shows up. Is that what you're saying? The stuff that bites him in the butt,
Hmm.
had this relationship,
Right.
and then that situation comes.
All those projections and all that hurtfulness, all that hate that you've been putting out there, it's coming, it's going to come up to you because it's yours. And so when it shows up, it's like a test.
Mm-hmm.
So, you went to a workshop and you found out this great technique to be more peaceful, more loving, more caring. And then, okay, here comes the test. And so choosing, how do I handle it? What am I going to use it? Use the new stuff I just got? Or, do I go back with the old stuff? And that's really what, becomes the greatest choice for people.
And
forgetting that they read that book,
yes. And I know, because I put it up my hand, because for years I would be sort of sitting on a high horse going, I am the spiritual one. Like, I know about these laws, I'm taking this. And when there were situations that are going on in my life, I'd be like, I wish they would just do their stuff and clear it up. Right? Versus me realizing that it was still me, right? I was still doing that judging thing. And I found that in a large degree, that so many people that it's like we call light workers, that we somehow, they put themselves on a different level or a different, space and time. When ultimately we're each playing our own role, however that shows up. And you can't have the love, the blessing, really, until you've experienced the other side. And then you're able to pour that love in and transmute the situation. And that's the gift in healing so-called karma. Am I on the same page with you?
Yeah, because it's, again, you have to realize, when you realize how powerful you are. And so this is what you're waking up to. You're waking up to, the reality of who you are, that you are a creator, co-creating this experience with the other aspects of yourself. And so as soon as you wake up to that, then you have to also be willing to accept the responsibility for everything that you've created before. Because now you want to create light and love and peace for everybody, yourself as well. Mm-hmm. However, in order to get there, when you're of a very sincere heart, to put it one way, then the things, universe conspires with you to help to have that happen. If it's part of your destiny, and it shows up for us in different ways. Right. We're all attuned to be a different experience to one another. So that the collective, when we come together, then the value of the unity, the union, exemplifies a force that is appreciated. So, we can't do this alone. We can't do this, as an individual. We get to a point where, a healer has to help another healer, so that we can really understand, because the things that the healer is doing for another is coming through sometimes others. But when it comes to, and what you do is you're being present to that other aspect of yourself that's showing up. Then for yourself, when something happens to you, right, you create an experience for yourself, you're unable to see exactly how, to treat yourself. You might know what needs to be done, but it's like, all right, how do I, where do I find the time? Where do I find the energy to apply this to myself, the discipline? Because it's like the energy of doing it for someone else is, I don't know, you can say it's addicting. It feels good. But when to treat yourself becomes a whole different experience. So you need to have that experience through someone else. So it's like the gift that you give to someone else, you have to give someone else that gift of giving to you.
Being able to receive is part of you.
Being able to receive.
Have to be able to receive. And I feel that that's really what's transpiring on the planet now. Is there is this whole concept that we need to let go of, that we have to do something to earn something, to contribute. It's this idea of that we can actually receive from the universe. Like, we receive this body, right? You and I didn't do anything. We didn't have to go earn the money to get the body, we just got the body, and then we got to live here on this beautiful planet, and we were just gifted with the ability to interact and have this experience. So the idea of receiving is, I believe, what's really happening for so many, because you have to give up your sense of control in the issue and trust in just allowing.
Right. There's a principle. The principle is that life is forgiving. Okay. It's that. It's forgiving. So you can't avoid being in that experience. And it's because once whatever you aspire to be, it's about you giving. But at the same time, if you understand it so well, you have to receive, because the law, of giving and receiving, they work together. But that also, to be not to have specific needs.
Right.
Because if you start looking for return, then that complicates the issue. Even in financial return, it really becomes a very tricky thing, because when you start putting a price on your service, so to speak, then you go in conflict with the universe, which has the measurement of your heart being extended. That is the generator of the return. And so you block yourself by saying sometimes, oh, this is, worth $100 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And, and I've experienced it. I don't, I've really been blessed to receive the gifts that I've had without being charged. I made the decision to heal myself, and be obedient. And in that process, people would come to me and say, well, Abdul, I got to give you this. Abdul, I got to share this with you. And I had no desire to, to deal with those vocations, and they were healing vocations at the moment. I was just studying the universal laws and just being the benefactor of these things. And, I end up receiving, all these gifts without having to pay financial for them. So I don't charge for my giving, because I just don't know how. It hasn't, I haven't had to do that. So, whatever I do is always been on a donation basis. And plus I had, was blessed to rise to the place of being a yogi and having that yogi consciousness. And we're conditioned to live by whatever comes into your beggar's baskets, and that's the trusting. To trust is such a beautiful experience.
It is.
And so to see, because when I see a lot of dollars are accumulating in the thing, I mean, I said, wow, I wonder what that's for. Because it's like it's always coming for something, some reason that you don't know what it's for, and and the purpose. So it's a lot of things that go into this unification of self that we can become the benefit of, that will support us in continuing on this path, of alignment.
Yeah. Well, I wholeheartedly agree with you when it comes to, that the idea that we're here to give, and how do you charge? I've had the same conversation many times. How do I actually put a price on what somebody's healing is, you know, like it's, and coming on, for me, coming online, it's been less, you know, I was guided to do this last fall, and that was the first thing I ever saw with most people. It's like, oh, 6 figures, 7 figures, you know, that was the whole focus, was all about money. And my gut was always saying, how do you charge for something that I believe is just a natural aspect of the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're talking about here. Healing from the inside out is when you start to align yourself and be your purpose, and you're giving. You have this innate ability to trust that you're always going to receive, and it's not a one-to-one transactional thing that says this is worth X number of dollars, because if somebody has a tiny instance, that could mean a tiny little amount for them in one respect. And if somebody could have a huge dramatic healing, which would be their whole life back, right? Which I've had occur. And how do you say, oh, well, that should cost more? Like, money is so...
See, I had this woman comes to me just a couple of weeks ago from the University of Peace, and she says, we have this session. My sessions usually run about 3 hours or so. So she comes out of the session and she's like, wow, And so she asks me, because when people come here, somebody sends them. So, and I don't sit down and do pre-interviews before the session. I just show them into the room and let them get ready, and I come in. So there's no conversation. So after the session, she says, well, how much is it? And I just, I just gave her a number, because the people here from the country have kind of, told me at some point, no, you got to tell us a number. So I started dealing with the dates anyway, the year, and, all right. So when I tell her this number, she says, wow, you undervalue yourself. And I'm like, well, how do you charge for God? How do you charge for love? You know what I mean? The pleasure that is gained when someone activates you and puts you in that space of loving, because, healing, it happens, when you decide to love. It should be for everyone who has a desire, a healing art, a healing gift. It's about being in that space where you decide to be in love with the person.
Yes.
And so, because they are you, and so they've come to you so that you can, love them. And so a lot of, what I find, a lot of people go into fear, when they doing their work. There's these do's and these don'ts, and to be in love, absolutely. It comes with a responsibility for the healer, for the teacher, to give all that is being revealed unto him in that instant, because it's all about the present. The present, right? Being in the present moment so you can receive the gift of healing. And so it's about that, which brings about the miracle. That willingness to be there, to trust, to be at one. And so I had another experience, because I don't talk during the sessions, because it's all about the silence. Because, to be that love, the love is silent. So in the silence, you can hear everything you need to hear. So in that space is where I'm able to hear everything that soul is asking for. And so just yesterday, I do a session, and the brother gets off the table. He says, wow, that's exactly what I needed, man. How did you know? I mean, how could I not know? Wasn't that you telling me? I'm listening exactly to, what has to happen. So beginning every session new, be willing to act like it never happened before, even if you saw the client before, because they're not the same in any way, and so to be able to begin anew and be completely in love, the benefit is, it becomes timeless. It becomes something that, a gift that you cannot, it's priceless.
Yeah.
And so when the people start witnessing this to you, then you have a greater respect for who you're being.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to come back to earth. You know?
But you're still living with love, absolutely. You know,
Exactly.
you really are. And this is
Mhm.
like such this, I mean, it's a brief little conversation, because living with love absolutely is like an ongoing conversation, because we're repeating it day in, day out, as you were saying, waking up to really being present, of living in love absolutely. So your can be reached where would you like them to contact you if they'd like to do a Skype with you?
They can Skype, or they can send me an email,
Okay.
akbspurpos@gmail.com. That's AKBS, and you can post that, akbspurpos@gmail.com. And yeah, and you contact me through there, or Skype, Facebook, Facebook Messenger. Or, yeah, you'll find me, Abdul K. Bashir. And, anything, just always know that anything is possible. There's no limits to what we need to accomplish right now, because it's like this seed that's being planted around the earth that is affording us just opportunities we've never had before. So a lot of people that have been coming to me is because, yes, this waking up and this sense of they can't even sleep anymore. You know what I mean? And that's another interesting metaphor, because, you may be having the same experience of meeting people. They're saying they can't sleep. You know, you can't sleep anymore. You know what I mean? You got to be awake to what's going on and who you are in this experience, because the earth is taking note and saying, look, you with me, or you ain't, you going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the time of just hanging out, is over.
Exactly. I like to use the analogy of the software upgrades, right? And whether it's your laptop or your phone, they're constantly coming. And if you're not updating your software, in that sense of who you are in a vibrational being, you're being left, and sooner or later your desktop
It don't work. Yeah, you can't get into certain programs, right?
right? And you're gonna finally have to, like, okay, I'm done, because I can no longer operate. It just
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the shift that's really going on, and it's exciting. And I would love to keep talking about this with you. But as we know, we've got another speaker coming over at the top of the hour. So I look forward to engaging again at a later time. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing with us here at the Global Party, Healing from the Inside Out. And I look forward to this further conversation and this great transformation of us all living with love. Absolutely.
I thank you too, and I appreciate the opportunity to connect with everyone that is out there listening. And I really want to speak to your love, to my love. Absolutely. Wow. Blessings.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Peace.